Hello all, this is Halloween, and today, as promised, we are going to be doing a costume. This costume is going to be Lady Gaga's iconic meat dress from the 2010 MTV Video Music Awards. Let's get started. So here's what we're going to be working with that I have so far. I'm still kind of figuring out the headpiece, but I have a beautiful pale pink wig that I got from Amazon for $20. Amazon has some really decent wigs, and they're all about in the range of $20. This one, for as long as it is and as good quality as it is, $20 is not much to spend, especially if you'll be using it more than once. And I have two dresses here, two different types of red. I've got a red and a burgundy. I'm gonna try and mix the two to make it look more like authentic meat. For these I paid $6 for one. It's a size small. I'm not a size small, but that's okay because we're gonna be cutting it up. And then I think I paid $10 for the other one or thereabouts. But I also got this one at the thrift store. I think I paid like $9 for this other one. Again, we're going to be cutting it, so that's fine. They're a slinky material that's kind of easy to work with. Her meat dress was very form-fitting. This one's a slinky material. This one's more of a not so stretchy, more of a cotton or rayon. I have some trussing twine that when we do the shoes, we're going to be wrapping them and trussing them just like meat. I have some RIT dye and denim. Lady Gaga's wig was actually blue at the bottom, so we're going to be dyeing the ends blue with this RIT denim dye. Because it's synthetic hair, you don't want to use real hair color. It's not real hair. It's not going to work. RIT, because it's synthetic, it's actually a fabric, so the RIT should work just fine. And then I got these shoes also at Goodwill for $8. Doesn't matter what they look like. I just wanted a closed toe wedge platform, and I'm going to be wrapping those in the red material, maybe a little bit of spray paint, and we're going to get started with the wig first. All right, I've filled my sink up about halfway with warm water. Because the wig's synthetic, if you go too hot, you don't want the strands melting in any way and joining together. So you want to be kind of careful about synthetic wigs. They really can't take much hot water or heat. So what I did was I filled my sink up about halfway and then gave it a little dose of Suavitel fabric softener to keep the hair untangled and kind of pliable. We're not going to comb through it until it's dry. We're just going to hang it up to dry, and then once it dries, we'll comb through it. But I put a little Suavitel to keep it soft and detangled. Now what I'm going to do, since I'm using a wig and not fabric, no instructions for wigs on here. So I'm going to take the blue and I'm just going to pour some in till I think it's about the right amount that I want for the hair to be dyed enough. Now, Lady Gaga's wig isn't dark blue. It's just a faint blue. So just a little bit will be enough. So I will get the wig and show you how that looks. So I put probably a little more than a capful in there. You just want to add modestly until you can figure out about how much you have in there and how the hair is looking, and check on it periodically. So it's probably a little more than a capful is what I added, and it colored the whole water. I've just hung the wig up over my sink and a clip so that it won't fall into the water. So it's up there pretty good. I've just got the ends hanging into the blue dye. So we'll see how that turns out. And then we're going to hang it up to dry probably in the backyard so that it can get some natural sunlight and breeze to dry it. So I ended up putting a little more into the water, and it took about literally 2 minutes to get that dark. And as you can, it's not super dark. It's, you know, it looks like it's going to be the color I want. So I let the water drain out, and I'm just going to let it sit here in the sink and kind of drip dry and let the color set in a little bit better before I take it out of the sink and set it outside to dry. I'm probably going to hang it up in a tree or something where it can get both sides of the sun and the breeze to dry it. And that's why we wanted to do this first, because it's going to need to completely air dry before we run a brush through it or anything like that. Our wig did very well. It's out now, hanging from a tree, drying in the sun. I will not be able to comb through it until it's completely dry, but it's perfect. I'm very happy with the way that turned out. I'm going to start working on this dress that I bought, the red one. It is a high-low dress, meaning that it is higher in the front and lower in the back, very long in the back. Lady Gaga's meat dress was actually a high-low dress. It was very short in the front and longer in the back, almost strips of meat coming off the back. So it's already almost how I want it, just in the way I bought it. So if you can find a red high-low dress, they're pretty easy to find. This is going to be great to work with because it cuts my work in half. In the back, it has a zipper, like I said. This dress is small in size, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to be cutting a straight across below the zipper line. So I'm going to cut straight across. I'm going to spread out my material, get my fabric cutting scissors, and cut a line straight, just a straight line straight across there. It still leaves me plenty of material to work with in the front and plenty in the back. To find that out, I just tried the dress on and to see where the zipper line ended behind me and how much material I still had left in the front. So I'm going to do that now. I have now cut just below the zipper, kind of went in a circle, not a circle, but you know what I mean, like a half circle. As far as cutting the line, I didn't go just blunt straight across. I just did kind of like a circle all the way out to the end, to the other end. We're round, we're not square, so it just kind of contours a little bit better if I'm going to be gathering it or anything like that. So save your extra material because this one's going to require a lot of material as far as around the shoes go and different accessories and things like that. So we're going to save our extra material because we'll probably be working with that later. I have my piece of material here, long in the back and short in the front. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to see about how big I am. I'm not small. I'm not going to be the same size as Lady Gaga. Let's just put it that way. But I'm going to pinch this kind of around me. What I want to do is get a measure of about how much I need this to go in. And lucky for me, the material is a bit stretchy. So, and me knowing my body quite well, I kind of know where I want it to be. So I'm just going to like pinch it together where it needs to be and then put a pin in it and I'll be sewing it from the inside. You can hot glue as well if you want to. I like to sew and I do all my sewing by hand, so it takes a little longer. I'll probably do that off camera, but I'm just and then when you pin it, you want to pin it so that the right side of the material is on the outside. So I'm going to pin it right about there just so I know. Everybody's got one of these, the tomatoes that grandma used to have. Just take one of your push pins and mark where you want it to go and then try to slide it off you without hopefully without messing that up. You'll at least be able to, you should be able to see the holes in the fabric if it does come out. Maybe pin it just to where it's a little bit bigger than what you need. You can always go in a little bit more. All right, that's about where I'm gonna need it to be on me. And I like the way it hangs there in the front. It's gonna need to be shorter, but hers hung down in kind of a V in the front. So that's how I'm gonna do it. Just like that. You'll see in the back, there's a lot, it's really long, lot to work with. So we're gonna make meat dripplings. Ideally, when you're eyeball measuring like I just did with this skirt, you generally want to wear next to nothing or a bathing suit or something like that so that you can get as true to size as possible. For myself, I've been doing this for a long time. I kind of know where I need the lines to be, where the pins to be. I'm just showing you to reference. That said, I'm just showing you here what I did. I flipped the material inside out and went ahead and sewed. And I drew a black line with a marker. Just so you can see. Up here is where my pin is, right there. And then I drew with a black marker just straight down from the pin. And then that's where I hand sewed the material. Like I said, you can hot glue as well if that works for you. Hot glue just doesn't really work for me. So I didn't hot glue. I just did a simple stitch right down the line there. Now that I have stitched and I already knew that everything was good because I went ahead and tried it on afterwards, I cut the excess material on the other side off. Now you're gonna hold on to that material because we're gonna need it later on. So just set it aside and now we're gonna flip the material right side in and start cutting to the shape that we want. So I put the skirt on and if you could see where I've drawn black lines on here because the front of the dress that she's wearing is actually more like a bathing suit front. It goes down into a V in the front and literally only covers the necessary parts. So it's kind of more like a loincloth, I guess you can say, in the front. And then in the back, it goes into just almost strips of meat hanging from the back. So I'm going to cut this where I want it in the front, like a V, and then I'm going to kind of work my way into cutting strips in the back. And that's going to be the skirt. That's going to be the bottom of the dress. I have finished the bottom of the skirt. It is short in the front, it's long in the back. I just cut strips and that's what we kind of want it to look like. In the front, you can see the seams. I'm probably going to cover that up with one of our extra pieces of material so that it just looks like one piece. That's easy to do. I'll probably use the hot glue to do that, but that's our skirt. That's the bottom of our dress. I've got my skirt out here hanging in the tree because I'm planning on finishing the skirt, maybe doing the top tomorrow and then taking photographs, but I covered up part in the front where all the seams were. I just took some of my extra material, kind of cut it into a V shape, and then what I'm going to do with this down here, it's kind of where we sewed and everything. I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna take some Velcro, some strong Velcro, and I'm gonna put Velcro on one side and the other Velcro to my panties, and I'm gonna Velcro it up under so that it's like that in the front. So I'm gonna do a little spray painting. I have some silver spray paint here because meat has kind of a silver skin to it, so there will be kind of a silver essence with meat. I'm not gonna overdo it, just to add some depth to just the flat red look. So that's it. You can see it's longer in the back, real short in the front. This is the front, so it's real short in the front, long in the back, and just cut into strips. So I'm just kind of doing like that, making silver lines through it. From here, it's really looking meat-like. Kind of doing in a line, like the lines in the meat, and it's looking really good. I'm gonna do the other side. Definitely is starting to look like meat. Steak isn't just red. It's got all kinds of fat on it, darker areas where there's more blood, and that's what this is starting to look like. Really, really good. I'm pleased with the outcome. Just gonna wait for that to dry. So it is nasty weather today. It is very hard to get anything done, but I'm gonna try as much as I can to get what I can done, because I'm supposed to be uploading this video tomorrow, and things are looking grim with this kind of weather. It's raining, it's cold, spray painting is absolutely out of the question. So we'll see what we can get done today. Anyway, I've got my other dress here. Now, if you have a tank top at home, a red tank top, a burgundy tank top, you can totally use that. But since I had already bought this dress for this purpose, I'm going to turn this into what I need it to be. And that's basically a tank top. So like I said, it'd be easier for you to go with a tank top. It just all depends on what you're working with. For me, this is what I got. So I'm gonna cut it into a tank top. I'm gonna be cutting just below the line that I drew here in black. The black line's not gonna matter. I'm gonna be spray painting it. I'm going to be painting on it. I'm going to be adding latex. So it doesn't really matter if that shows, because it won't when I'm done with it. So I just got it laid out straight here. I'm going to cut a line straight across there. And then it came with like this sort of thing up top that hangs over and over the shoulders. It is a tank top, but it goes kind of like down like a cold shoulder look. So I'm going to cut this whole thing off because I want to use the other red material and attach that on to make my sort of draped look across the top. So that's what I'm doing now. So my shirt is complete. I worked on it quite a bit last night, and I kind of gave you some still shots as to what I was doing. Basically, you're going to want to cut strips of the leftover fabric and hot glue it to this shirt. But the shirt is stretchy and your body is going to stretch that shirt out. So what you're going to need to do is continuously put the item on and see where you want to put something. Kind of mark it or pin it or glue it while it's on you. Be careful not to burn yourself. You know, because the fabric stretches and everything, you want to make sure the pieces of material are in the right place. So it's basically a patchwork design. Up at the top, it's kind of gathered. You know, that's how hers was. The only part that's really exactly is probably up at the top here, where I've cut it into kind of a triangle and I attached it to the top of the shirt, but I showed pictures of that. The rest of it is just pieces glued on with hot glue. I did not sew anything for this, and in the back I've just got one piece draped across. Now you'll see how it's not attached here. It was at one point, but it was too tight, so I unattached it. When I stand up, it's straight across though, and I just tuck it in to the back and it's fine. Looks good. That's how that is. But because I stretch it out when it's on, I do have it glued on either side, and I just tuck it right in like that when I have it on, and it works. I'm gonna do a little spray painting. I got this red and I don't know how this is gonna work, and the weather is not on my side, so I have to hurry with whatever I do. I'm just gonna see if this oh, it does. I'm spray painting the darker color a little more red, and it looks like it worked pretty good. I don't know how well it's gonna dry in this weather. That looks pretty good. Just a little more red so it doesn't look so dark. Might look black in pictures. And then I'm gonna go get my silver and I'm gonna do lines just like I did with the skirt, and then I'm gonna wait for this to dry. And hopefully it does. If not, I'll have to put it in front of my fireplace inside or something. That's the shirt. You're just gonna take it off, put it on, take it off, put it on, and glue random cut pieces to it. While I have my glue gun hot, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start working on the shoes. And the way I'm gonna do that, let me get my piece of paper over here. You guys probably think I'm disgusting with shoes on my table. I do clean it afterwards. So while I've got my glue gun hot, I'm going to start taking these small pieces that we cut from the skirt. When you are cutting the strips, you should have a lot of small pieces left over. I'm going to start hot gluing them to cover the shoe. Wherever they go, I'm just going to hot glue them and cover up the entire shoe with these strips. If I run out of strips, I'll move on to my extra material I have over here. And I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done. So I'm going to start making the fat now, making parts of the dress look like there's fat on it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a mixture. I'm kind of trying to match this color. This is a flesh tone latex. Flesh tone meaning a peachy color latex. I didn't have a flesh tone paint, but if you want to, if you're going out to buy it, you're going to want to pick up probably a flesh tone or peach colored paint, maybe some white. I had these, so I'm going to work with these to try and, I don't have to match it perfectly, but to try and come up with a peach color. This is white. I've got a tan here and an orange. So I'm going to mix those together and see what should be around a peachy color. So I've got those mixed together. I've cut a cup for paint because I'm gonna kind of be blobbing it on. And the cool thing about this, I think we're getting there. The cool thing about acrylic paint is it dries pretty quickly. So, oh yeah, that's pretty perfect. It's a peachy color there. I got myself a little piece of cardboard. We're doing a lot of renovations in the house right now, so cardboard is abundant, and I love cardboard. Every time I get a box, I'm like, oh my God, this is a great piece of cardboard. Or man, look at this piece of styrofoam. And I save it because I'm probably gonna need it for a costume. But anyway, go ahead and you're just gonna do this onto it, kind of like that. Just kind of tapping it on, and that's already looking like fat. So I've just completed the front part and I couldn't be happier. I'm gonna say success on this. It looks just like meat, more than I had even hoped for. I'm gonna let this dry, and while I'm doing that, I'm probably gonna start working on the shoes. I'm gonna do the exact same thing. So with the shoes, I'm gonna be taking, I don't have a lot of paint in here, I've gotta mix some more up, but I'm just going to be taking the paint and just kind of doing like that. You want like kind of a lot of paint glob on there and just randomly put some streaks in there. You're gonna put some globby parts, you know, just make it look like this and you'll be good. And we'll be adding some stuff to the shoes as well. Another thing that I want to get started pretty soon is going to be the headpiece. I figured out how I was going to do that. I will be using one of my favorite things to use for costumes, Crayola paper clay. It's a lightweight clay, and I got the red one. I'm gonna be mixing the brown and red together to make a steak color. And then I'm going to have the this flesh tone one for fat. So I'm going to be making the steak out of paper clay. And I have to get that kind of ready and formed so that it can be drying. It doesn't take too long to dry, but it does take hours. So like 3 to 4 hours, something like that. So I want to get that going pretty soon. And I'm going to continue with this and the shoes and keep showing you my progress. So I went and got more paint. You're going to want to give yourself time for this project. It takes a lot of time. You know, I think I started on Sunday, Monday. Too late to really get this out in time. But I went to Michael's. What I ended up buying, because they didn't have a large peach, was it's a color called Plaid by Folk Art, and it is a acrylic paint. I got 2 bottles because I wasn't sure exactly how much I was going to need, and I'm just mixing a little of the orange in with it. It's turning out great. The only problem is I don't have the sun on my side. I ain't seen the sunshine in 3 damn days, okay? So it's really putting a hitch in my Geddy up here because I use the sunlight to do all my drying. I hang everything from trees, let the sun hit it. It's the fastest way to dry. But I have one of those little fake fireplaces, and I've placed my items in front of that little fireplace, and that seems to be working pretty good to dry. Give yourself adequate time to complete this costume because it's easy, but it's just time consuming. And what I'm doing is, you know, when I do the fat, I do little streaks like that. And it looks awesome. It's actually really looking like meat, and I don't want to brag or anything, but I'm kind of impressed with myself on this one. Sometimes I'm like, how am I going to do this? And then it ends up turning out okay. I just wanted to come on real quick, show you a little bit of my progress here. The other side is done, so I've just moved to the back, and that's all I do. And just random fat streaks with the brush streaks going kind of through it, and that's what you're going to do. And you can do however many or as little as you'd like. You know, it's really not an exact science. This costume is very abstract, I guess, if you will. I now have my trussing twine, and I am just hot gluing it to the shoes. That's all I'm gonna do. I want to apologize for the lighting because when I have no sunlight, I hardly have any light in my house. And then I have my glue gun plugged in, so my ring light can't be plugged in. I saved a piece of material that kind of looks like the grains in steak from another costume. It's just a leftover piece of material that I had used for a mermaid tail, and I'm going to use it to make lines in my Play-Doh that I just mixed together, and looks pretty cool. And I think for the fat, I bought a fat color of the Play-Doh, and I think I might paint it. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm going to do one or the other. Kind of makes it look a little more steak-like. And then I have mannequin heads, and I'm just going to kind of fold it over a mannequin head to shape it. So that's the piece. Didn't make very deep lines. That's gonna be my steak hat. The beginnings of my meat hat. Painting will work for the fat on this. So I just paint it. I won't really need to use the, so yeah, I can paint it. I know I didn't show you the whole thing while I was doing it, but I showed you enough to get the gist. I didn't end up using the liquid latex at all. I don't think it was necessary, and anytime I don't think something's necessary, I won't use it. I'll save it for another project because I may need liquid latex for something else. That's the meat dress in its entirety. It's not quite as long as hers was. That would have just been more painting and stuff. You can make it as long or as short as you want to. But that's it. There's the wig and the meat headdress and the shoes, which I was very pleased with. And then to accessorize, I just picked the shiniest, blingiest items I had. She wore a big, chunky rhinestone, well, it was probably diamond in her case, but for you, rhinestone choker, lots of white diamonds, rhinestones to accessorize as well. I'm going to use this very diamondy purse. I think she actually had a meat clutch because it took me so long to do the rest of the attire. Like meat, I'm not going to be doing that. You are welcome to do that if you want to. You just take a regular clutch, take strips from the excess material, and just kind of lay it over and hot glue it, paint it, and you know, you'll have yourself a meat clutch. Don't forget your regular sized whole black fishnet pantyhose. So just the classic black fishnet pantyhose is what she wore. I have everything I need right here, and I'm ready to do my makeup. I got my nails done today for Valentine's Day. Note to yourself, don't get your nails done first, before doing this project. They will get messed up with all the hot glue and the paint. So you're gonna want to get your nails done afterwards if that's gonna be part of the whole thing. This obviously is not for this look, it's for the holiday, but we'll go ahead and get started. I'm just gonna put on some foundation. So Lady Gaga is very exotic looking and I cannot mimic her look at all. So I'm just gonna put makeup on, kind of like the style and what she had going on. She had a red lipstick, she had a bit of a cat eye, she had lashes of course, some sparkly shimmery eyeshadow. Pretty simple look. Yes, this is how I do my foundation. So get your foundation on, I'll blend it in, we're good to go. Now, I like powder, not everybody likes powder. My mom didn't like powder. She said it makes you look like Mount Rushmore. So I'm kind of fond of the Mount Rushmore look, not looking real shiny and glossy or oily. I like more of a matte finish. Put on some powder. Now that I'm all primered up and ready to go, I kind of have an eyebrow on from last night. I'm just gonna darken my eyebrows a little bit, make it a little bit more precise. Her eyebrows were pretty light in this look. I like more of a darker brow. So we're not really we're doing a Gaga style for the makeup. Probably not gonna be perfect, but it'll look good, I promise. There's the brows, just a simple brow. For the eyeshadow, I have this Kat Von D palette. It's Kat Von D Edge of Reality is the palette, and it has a bunch of really cool colors in it. I like the shimmery ones. We're probably gonna use like a flesh tone shimmer and one of these more peachy colors to kind of go with the rest of the ensemble in the crease. And I think she has a bit of a cat eye. Now, of course, Lady Gaga is very controversial, and the whole Meat dress was this statement piece that she did to basically say, stand up for what you believe in. At the time, the Don't Ask, Don't Tell bill had been written into law, and it regarded gays in the military, how gays should not be in the military because it disrupts the general moral standards of the military or what have you. It's something along those lines. So she was basically kind of making a stand against that with the Meat dress. This is a nice shimmery peachy shimmer. I'm just gonna do over kind of like the whole lid, almost going up to my eyebrow, and just to make it stand out. That looks nice. So that's gonna be. I'm gonna blend it in a little bit more. And then I'm just gonna do the other eye. So that's how that's gonna look. You're just doing the redder or whatever darker color you choose in your crease. And I'm gonna do the other eye. Kind of going out to a bit of a almond shape. So that's how that's gonna look. This may be too bright for you to actually see. I can see, but maybe you can't. Let's see. Like sort of a warmer tone. It's got all these different settings. That one's definitely a no-go. So anyway, that's what we're doing. For that, I have my liquid liner. I'm gonna do my little wing tips. It's not too dramatic of one, so I gotta be careful about that because mine can get pretty dramatic. I just will keep making it thicker and thicker until it's perfect, and then I end up with like this strip of black that's like this thick on my eyelid. I don't want to do that this time. So about like that, you know, not real thick, not real thin. She has very almond shaped eyes. So you just want to we want ours to be shaped almond too. So in 2011, the Meat dress went on display at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and it was preserved by taxidermists as a form of beef jerky. So if you want to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that is where the dress is displayed still today. And it looks quite different than when she wore it. You know, it's stiff, it's beef jerky. So that's about all it's going to be. Just very, not real dramatic, not super dramatic, just enough to give your eye an almond shape. I think I'm going to put a little on the bottom lid as well. And I'm going to go off camera to do my other eye. I've done both of my cat eyes. Just draw a line that goes up on each side of your eyes. I've seen people use Scotch tape if you want to get like an exact line, you know, different things like that. I've been doing mine for a long time. I don't quite know how to do it on camera yet. You're just going to make a line at the corner of your eye, and you're just going to make the black line meet up to that to the end of that line. That's it. Pretty easy. Takes some practice to get used to it. I still don't do mine perfect every time, and I've been doing it since middle school, so don't feel bad if you're not a pro the first time. You'll get there. I'm just putting black on my waterline, and that's how she's gonna look. I'm gonna put a little more black on the other side. Sometimes you gotta match things up. Looks like I went a little crazy on this side. There's a little bit more underneath. Perfect. Okay, now I'm gonna put on some mascara, and then I've got my fake eyelashes, which we all know I don't do great at those. Some ladies wear those all the time. I don't know how they do it. Not really my thing. God gave me eyelashes, so I'm rocking those. They've worked for years. Do a little mascara first, and then we're gonna put our eyelashes on. Sometimes I even put mascara after I put the eyelashes on. I don't know if anybody does that, but I do. And then we'll do some blush. So I just got, this one is LA Colors Jewel Eyes. I lucked out and already had these. It was something I had for a costume and I didn't know I had them. And it was like, surprise, it was all in all my costume stuff. So I already had a pair. Didn't have to go out and buy them. All right. Gotta tell you, that's probably the easiest time I've ever had putting on an eyelash. These aren't bad. LA Colors, imagine that. Cool. I'm gonna put the other one on. Now we're gonna do a little blush. I'm just using the Ulta Beauty Just Face It palette. And for her, I think I'm gonna do like a pinkier blush. So it would be from this side of the palette. Probably that one. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. So just do the other side. And then I gotta put my lipstick on. I just bought this lipstick today. Kind of excited about it. It's CoverGirl. It says 24-hour wear. We'll see about that. I'm really bad about lipsticks. I will pay money for lipsticks and then I'll leave them in the car and they'll melt or I'll lose them somehow. So I'm gonna try and hold on to this one. A red lipstick. I am not trying to mimic Lady Gaga. I can't. There's no way I can look like her. I'm not one of these makeup artists that can make myself look like pretty much anybody. I mean, I can if it's an ugly person. I'm usually pretty good at that. But she's just got a very unique, very dramatic and very exotic look about her that I can't mimic. So, makeup done. Time to have the fun. See you in a minute. You for joining me today. I'm so glad you did. This turned out much better than I even expected. Always remember that this is a first for me too, you know? So we're doing this 100% together on most of the costumes that we do. So this one definitely was a first and it turned out great. So remember to, when you're watching the video, to watch it all the way through from start to finish before you go buy any materials or anything like that, because it's all trial and error. And there are things that I used, there are things that I didn't use so much. If I would have known exactly what I was doing, I would have just bought a red tank top. You know, I already had the liquid latex, so it wasn't a loss there, but you know, just always watch the video all the way through. If you loved this video, please remember to like, subscribe, share the video. I would love to continue doing this for you. And I'm hoping that, you know, eventually I'll have enough subscribers and things to actually be doing this for a living. So anything you could do would help. And thank you so much. I'll see you next time.